On this episode of Locked On Angels, we're going to talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly of the first month of the season. That includes the starting pitching, Wash's lineup decisions, and fans blaming other fans for this terrible team. We're going to get into all of it. It's time to get locked on with Mike and John, and this is Locked On Angels.
You are Locked On Angels, your daily Los Angeles Angels podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks for making Locked On Angels your first listen of the day. You can find us anywhere you get your podcasts, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and SiriusXM by searching Locked On Angels. And if you'd like to get back to the Super Halo Bros for all the Super Halo content, here's some things that you can do. Leave us a rate and a review on Apple Podcasts. If you're watching on YouTube, hit that thumbs up button. And if you're not subscribed already, please subscribe and become a Locked On Everydayer. And whether you're watching or listening, come over to YouTube and leave a comment. It's one of the best ways to get in touch with us and be a part of the conversation.
Thanks for being here for this episode of Locked On Angels, where it's your team every day. You've got the Frisch Brothers here with you, a.k.a. the Super Halo Bros. My name is John, and that's my brother Mike.
And my name is Mike, and that's my brother John.
You're back. Glad to have you back. Yeah.
Good to be here.
I had to solo it, and I got all upset again. And so you're here to temper my...
Calm you down.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, we're here 5 days a week talking Angels baseball every single weekday, Monday through Friday. Happy Friday to you. On today's show, we're reviewing the month of March and April, kind of smushing that together, Mapril. And we're taking a look at the good, the bad, and the ugly from the first month of the season. Now, we know the Tigers and Angels played last night. It is a 4-game set, so we're going to recap that all on Monday for you. So we'll cover all 4 games. So you're in the future. Once again, welcome to the future. You know things that Mike and I don't know. And so, if you want to spoil us a little bit, that's fine. Get in the comments section. We'd love to hear from you. Mike, let's get into, I know people are going to say, what good? But let's get into the good from the first month of the season.
Yeah, there is some good, and the good starts with Tyler Anderson having a really good start to this season. Johnny's 2-0 with a 2.67 ERA. That's over 6 starts and 33 2/3 innings pitched. He's got a 1.040 whip. You know I'm a fan of whip, and I love that. He's doing really well, keeping runners off the bag per inning. And then he has a 1.56 ERA plus, which means that he's 56% better than the league average pitcher. And of course, there are the concerns that Tyler Anderson brings to the table, that concern about his FIP and how high it might be. We talked about this a couple of shows ago, and we also talked a lot about this last season, that a great first half, but then he really struggled close to the end of the year. August and September were not great. And a part of that, part of the indication that he wasn't going to do well was his field independent pitching, his FIP, because that tells you what he can control, letting runners get on base, things like that. But for now, he's held it down, and he's provided, John, 3 quality starts in a row for these Angels. It may not feel like he's provided that because of how the Angels are playing, but the starting pitching, and Tyler Anderson specifically, have been the good so far for the Angels this season.
Yeah, speaking of which, starting pitching has kept the Angels in the game, believe it or not. And I know that when there's 3 runs on the board, it can feel like 30 runs against the Angels. And again, I know it might not feel like it, but the starting rotation has given the Angels plenty of chances to win games. Tyler Anderson, all 6 of his starts have been 3 runs or less. 2 of his starts were scoreless outings, Mike.
Right.
Jose Soriano, 4 out of 6 starts have been 3 runs or less from Jose. Jack Johanowitz, 3 quality starts out of 6, and 4 of his 6 outings were 3 runs or less. Now, remember, we're talking about March and April here, so this is Yusei Kikuchi prior to last night's game. 3 quality starts out of 6. The most runs he's surrendered in a game has been 4. In fact, 4 of his 6 starts have been 3 runs or less, including 1 start with 1 earned run and then a scoreless outing. And even Kyle Hendricks, Mike, 3 out of his 5 starts have been 3 runs or less, including 5 scoreless innings against the Rays. So adding all of that up, coming into yesterday and prior to Kikuchi pitching on Thursday night, there have been 29 starts from the Angels rotation. 21 of them have been 3 runs or less.
Wow.
So that means only 8 times have starters let the game get away with 4 runs or more. So I want to know, where's my 21-8 record, Angels? This is, good grief. This is a rotation keeping you in games, 21 out of 29 starts, and it's all come down to how bad the hitting has been. But when you look at it from that perspective of the rotation, I know the ERAs are inflated. It's still early in the season. And so you look at the ERA and you go, man, that doesn't look very good. So that's why I wanted to drill down into how many starts have been good and 3 runs or less. And again, 21 out of 29 starts, the rotation has kept the Angels in the game.
Yeah, and the blowouts have been blowouts, but the games that they've been in because of the starting pitching. And so that's been a good thing. John, I want to preface this next conversation of good with an acknowledgement that yes, the offense has not been great, but there have been some offensive standouts so far. And those offensive starting with Jorge Soler. He was doing what we traded for him to do, right?
Mm-hmm.
Providing a 456 slugging percentage, 7 doubles, 5 home runs, 11 RBIs, 4th most on the team right now. Logan O'Hoppe, he's got a 270 batting average entering last night, a 301 on base, a 551 slugging, and an 852 OPS, 8 home runs, 14 RBIs. And then, of course, Zach Neto, just 11 games entering last night. And he's been what this team has needed both offensively and defensively. 286 batting average, 318 on base, a 595 slugging percentage, and a 913 OPS. 2 doubles, John, 3 home runs, 6 RBIs, and 3 stolen bases.
4 doubles.
4 doubles.
Neto.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow. Got one as we were talking.
That's right.
And then Kyron Paris, his first 15 games were really spectacular, right?
Yeah.
And we will talk about, the slow start for him, or the slow last few games for him. But through 15 games, John, 366, 458 on base, an 805 slugging percentage, and a 1263 OPS, 5 homers, 8 RBIs, and 5 stolen bases. Again, we know he's struggling right now, just broke an 0 for 25 hitless streak. But if he can continue to make adjustments, and he's shown that he's willing to do that, especially with what he did in the offseason, especially with 2 strikes, because that's where he's really struggled, I think he could find his way again.
Yeah, and despite a slow start from Mike Trout, he has been productive. It's a 102 OPS plus so far, meaning he's right around league average. And we know that Trout is far more capable than league average. He's leading the team with 18 RBIs and 9 home runs, also tied with Nolan Shonowell for the most walks on the team at 12. Mike, let's turn it over to the A-team bullpen. Remember, at this point of the year, using ERA to measure the bullpen isn't going to give you a very accurate read, because some of these guys haven't even hit 9 innings pitched yet. And
right.
So one bad outing with 1 run or more is going to inflate that. So I wanted to look at their individual outings and see what they've done so far. Obviously, Kenley Jansen has been a standout, 8 appearances, 6 saves, no earned runs. And he's also commanding the field and telling everybody where to stand and what to do and all of that stuff.
Yeah, I know we're doing good, bad, and ugly, but there's probably a category where we could say like fantastic or spectacular. And Kenley Jansen in that outing against the Tampa Bay Rays, where he was orchestrating the infield, and he's like, I don't hold the runner on. I want to pitch directly to him. I loved that moment. And so there's been a few fantastic moments from Kenley Jansen in just 8 appearances so far this season.
Ben Joyce had 4 scoreless appearances in a row before that 5th appearance, where, remember, his velo was down, his location was off. He'd later go on the IL after that appearance, but 4 in a row to start the season of scoreless outings was great. Ryan Zefferjon has had 7 out of 11 scoreless outings, 5 out of 11 hitless outings,
wow.
18 strikeouts in 8 2/3 innings pitched. Brock Burke, he's had 9 out of 11 scoreless outings. He had 2 really bad blowups, Mike. 1 with 4 earned runs, 1 with 2 earned runs. And those were the only 2 outings where he gave up a home run. So that explains the earned runs there.
And I just want to affirm from yesterday's show, I don't know why Detmers came in when he came in, when you talked about that last game against the Mariners. When you have a Brock Burke and you have a Zefferjon like waiting in the wings, because that could have kept that game from blowing up like it did. And if you wanted a lefty, you got Brock Burke coming in. That he's really been great. I know that he had a couple of really bad blowups, but that was early on. 9 of 11 scoreless outings. Like, this guy is a good guy. So it just felt like not a wise decision, and we'll get into those decisions later on. But Brock has been really good so far for the Angels this season.
Thanks for boosting my self-esteem right there.
You're so welcome. That's fine.
And then finally, Ryan Johnson has had 11 appearances, 13 innings pitched, 8 of 11 scoreless outings. Remember, his ERA is ballooned because of that bozo move to bring him out for a second inning in the first game of the year where he surrendered 5 earned runs. Remember, he did a great job the first inning, and he also pitched 3 days before that against the Dodgers. So we all questioned, why is Ron bringing him out for a second inning? And so that was kind of a ridiculous move. But again, 11 appearances, 8 of them have been scoreless. So Ryan Johnson has been holding it down as well.
John, the first 12 games were really good. I mean, I know it's been a tale of two teams so far this season, but through the first 12 games, which was through that Tampa Bay Rays series, the Angels were 8-4, 4 straight series wins. They had the 7th best WRC plus in the league at 115, which is 15% better than league average. Their walk rate was 8.2%. Their strikeout rate was 21.1%. They were slashing 241 with a 312 on base, a 416 slugging percentage, and a 772 OPS. They were 4th in barrel percentage at 11.2%. So this means that they were putting good swings on the ball in terms of launch angle and exit velocity. And the standard for barreling is comparing that to similar hits that would lead to a 500 average and a 1500 slugging percentage.
Yeah. So you know that they were putting good swings on the ball with how good they were barreling the baseball. Obviously, they've gone away from that. Obviously, it's been a struggle the last 2 weeks, and that's what we're going to get into as we continue our conversation on the good, the bad, and the ugly. But I want to thank you for making Locked On Angels your first listen of the day. Coming up in just a minute, we're going to have our conversation on the bad, which is like, it's bad, but also it's manageable and we can recover from it. But then there's the ugly, which has plagued us over this last month. We're going to get into all of that coming right up.
Amazon Fire TV brings you endless entertainment with 4K streaming. You can watch more than 1 million movies and TV episodes from your favorite subscription service like Netflix, Prime Video, Disney Plus, Max, and so much more. In addition to that, your Fire TV can also be a Xbox. Johnny, I know you're excited about that. We had an everyday that actually tweeted at us and was asking for some direction too. Wasn't that cool?
I was going to say, Carl Kirby, Locked On Everyday, said, hey, what controller do you recommend for this? I said, you could go with a standard Bluetooth Xbox controller, but also 8-Bit Do or 8-Bit Do, I don't know how to say it. They make great controllers for all kinds of stuff, and this would be the perfect time to grab yourself a controller from 8-Bit Do.
Yeah, you can turn your TV into a gaming and entertainment hub with Fire TV Stick 4K devices. No console required. Just grab your paired controller, subscribe and or sign in to your Xbox Game Pass, and then you're going to be able to play all of the fun games like college football or Call of Duty. It's easy to stream all your favorite shows as well. It's making things really simple, especially gaming for you, and it's all on your Fire TV. You can head to Amazon.com/Fire TV Locked On to get started. Again, Amazon.com/Fire TV Locked On to get started. Xbox Game Pass Ultimate subscription and compatibility controller required. Available on select devices, including Fire TV Stick 4K, 2nd generation, Fire TV Stick 4K Max, 1st and 2nd generation, and Fire TV Cube, 3rd generation.
This is the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. Thanks for making Locked On Angels your first listen of the day. Now, we dove into the good, and we drilled down into some of what's good about this team, including, other than a few outings, the bullpen has been pretty good. The starting rotation has kept the Angels in games. Again, 21 out of 29 potential starts have all been 3 runs or less, with a few scoreless outings in there as well. Mike, we're going to get into the bad. And I want to start with Mike Trout. He's been scuffling. He's been injured. Obviously, we mentioned that he has been productive despite a bad start to the season. Again, most RBIs, most home runs, but he's batting 179, and he's struck out 36 times across 121 plate appearances. His K rate is 29.1%, and that puts him in the bottom of the league at the 11th percentile. His whiff rate, swing and miss, 30.1%. That puts him down in the 21st percentile in the league. But believe it or not, and contrary to popular belief, it's not the fastball that he's whiffing on the most. It's breaking pitches. It's a slider. It's a curve. It's a sweeper. All of those kinds of pitches he's whiffing on the most. And the reason why nothing is landing for him in the field is that everything he's putting in the air right now is going straight on, straight out, not being pulled, not going the opposite way. In fact, out of everything he's put in the air so far, everything that gets pulled goes straight up or opposite field, he's putting stuff in the air, pulling it the least. So he's pulling fly balls the least. Everything for him is going straight out, and that's why he's flying out. He's flying out to, he's hitting long baseballs, he's hitting long hits, but they just go out to the outfielders out there. Not only that, but he hurt the same knee that he had the torn meniscus in last year, and he didn't start last night, although he was available off the bench. Trout has said that he needs 100 plate appearances to get right and start the season well. Well, not only did he have spring training, but he's had 121 plate appearances this season now. Mike, are things about to turn around for Mike Trout now that he's gotten all of those plate appearances?
Oh, you would hope so. I think that the thing that if Trout is going to be a swing and miss guy, then the thing that he needs to adjust on is how he records other outs. Meaning that if he's going to have 2 outs in a game and they're both strikeouts, then he's going to need 2 hits, because where he's hurting himself is that he's striking out in at bats, but then he's also popping up, like you said, in at bats. He's not pulling anything. And I do think that there is some good in him pulling some things and not just always going to center field or right center field, although that's a great power alley for Mike Trout. But I do think pulling some things are great. I think a part of where he's struggling too is they are doing a bit of shading like they have in the years past, putting the third, short, and second baseman close to the left side of the field and having just the first baseman on the right-hand side. I know you can't go completely over with the second baseman because shifting is banned, but they call it shading now. And so I think Trout is trying to go into those holes and into those gaps, which is smart. I appreciate that he sees that, but I think where Trout needs to maybe pick some things up is you got to go with your bread and butter. And if it is pulling the ball down that left field line, especially at Angel Stadium, that's where a lot of doubles are found. And that's where a lot of productive hits can happen.
Yeah. And if he's pulling stuff in the air, I mean, it's going to fly out in that short corner over there as well. Kyron Paris, we mentioned him in our good segment because he had that hot start in his first 15 games. Mike, this is what he's done since then in the last 11 games of April. 33 plate appearances, just 1 hit, which was a double, 19 strikeouts. Oh, this slash line. Are you ready for this?
No, it's terrible.
An 0.31 average, an 0.61 on base, an 0.63 slugging, and a 123 OPS. Is this a guy who's pressing too hard so that he can measure up to what he did in the first 15 games? And what can he do to fix this?
I think a lot of this has to do with just being adjusted to. Now it's his turn to adjust back. And I think the first 15 games for him were a surprise to everybody, and even Kyron Paris. I don't think that he's not confident in himself, but I do think that that was a surprise at how often he was making contact and where the contact was going, because he was crushing the ball. 5 home runs included in that. What's remarkable about Kyron Paris is that his OPS is still one of the tops in the league, and he's had this terrible 33 plate appearance run with just 1 hit and 19 strikeouts, and yet he's still one of the tops in the leagues. So I do think that a part of that is probably him pressing. A part of that is they've adjusted to him. Now he has to adjust back. And what can he do to fix this? John, he got his swing adjusted this offseason to work through being a better hitter at the plate, being a better offensive guy. And so I would tweak that just a bit. And this is where I'm an old school guy. I would say, like, choke up, shorten up your swing, because a lot of what he's doing is swinging for the fences every single time. But Kyron's fast. And that's where the Angels it doesn't seem to connect from their head to their hands. Kyron and some other Angels, if they just make light contact, they're going to make it to first base. You find the hole at short and the shortstop grabs it, you're going to be at first base already. I also think a little bloop into right field, a little, dinky do into center field. Those types of things are what I would love to see Kyron do over the next few games, because then that gets you going again. And then pitchers have to adjust to that. And the truth is, any sort of dinky doos, any sort of bloops, you can't adjust to that, right? That's it's really good baseball luck. And it just doesn't seem like baseball luck is in favor of the Angel players this season or over the last 10 years, right?
Drives me nuts when we get dinky dude, but I'll take a dinky dinky donut any day.
Yeah.
Like, I was thinking about it too. And last year, the emphasis was make contact, Joe Adell, make contact, Mickey Moniak, because you guys are strong enough to power the baseball out of the infield and get it to land for a base hit. And that was the emphasis last year. Don't try to swing for the fences. Just make contact.
Yeah.
Now, I'm wondering where that went, because really what it comes down to, a lot of these guys, if just make contact, some really good things can happen, as we saw in the game against the Mariners on Wednesday with Luis Vargas, or Leo Rivas just putting the ball in play, getting 2 infield singles and starting that rally, and then continuing the rally.
Yep.
And again, it comes back to just put the ball in play, and you guys are strong enough to push that out and get it out over the infield.
Yeah, some of the bad, John, is the Angels against the AL West. We've talked often about how if they want to be competitive, they have to beat the teams that are in front of them and behind them. And right now, they're all in front of them. They're 1-7 against the AL West. And that's frustrating because they started the year out beating teams that they should beat. They went 2-1 against the Sox, 2-1 against the Cards, 2-1 against the Guardians, who are a good team, 2-1 against the Rays, who are not a bad team. Didn't they just sweep the Padres, I believe? They played them really, really well. And they even beat the Giants 2 out of 3 when the Giants were 13-7 and one of the best teams in baseball at that time. But then, John, they lost to the Pirates and they lost to the Twins. And then worse than that, they've gone 1-7 against the AL West. They lost 2 of 3 to the Astros, swept by the Rangers. They were swept over a 2-game span against the Mariners, which just makes me want to barf. And that's the thing that they need to adjust on. And that's why this is in bad and not in ugly, because there is a potential for them to recover from this. They've shown last year, even as a bad team, that they could be good against the teams in the West. They were 500 against teams in the West last year, and that was a really bad team, right? And on paper, this team is much better, but going 1-7 so far against your division, again, putrid, terrible, awful. What other words can you think of there?
Right.
They've still got 24 games against the AOS before the end of July. So they have an opportunity to turn that around. And I don't even want to call it an opportunity. I want to call it an obligation, right?
Yeah, a demand, right? Yeah, 500 against each team in the AL West in the first half of the season. And that was before the team, that was the quote unquote good version of the team, because after that we had, all kinds of different, Nico Cavadas and Eric Wagaman, who's doing pretty good with the Marlins, by the way. But we had that version of the team. And so, to start with the version of the team that they had at the beginning of last season and going 500 against the West, this team should definitely be able to do that, because on paper, this team is so much better than what they had last year. Finally, Mike, let's get into injuries, and not just the injuries, but their ripple effects. First, Ben Joyce was put on the IL after April 8th. And since then, feels like the Angels have been searching for an answer on how to deal with losing Joyce. And we'll speak on the bullpen management in our ugly segment. That's part of it. But also, they've just been trying to find guys to fill that gap. I think Jake Eder is a good arm that they've gone to. I do like that Jose Fermin came up. I just think that he was used horribly the other day, especially when you were making him face Jorge Polanco, the hottest hitter on the Mariners. But I did like that as a replacement. But they've just been searching for answers since Ben Joyce was put on the IL. And second, Yoan Moncada. I'm going to give Yoan Moncada a lot of credit, because his thumb injury has kept him out since April 9th. And right now he can throw and he can hit. I forget which side he can hit from, but he can't switch hit right now. And that's the only thing that's holding him back from coming back and also letting that thumb recover. And, the tough part about him being out is that times he was the only one taking walks to begin the season. And the Angels certainly could have used him taking walks over this bad stretch that they've had. Now, defensively, he's only got into 56 innings at third base, but he has a 1,000 fielding percentage there so far. Rengifo, on the other hand, an 889 fielding percentage. Look, if your fielding percentage is lower than like 940, then you're not doing a very good job.
Right,
and that's kind of general around baseball. I know that seems high, but that's kind of the lower end of a good player. -7 defensive runs saved for Rengifo so far at third base. Now, while these injuries are the main two for the season, it's had a ripple effect on how Wash manages his bullpen and then the strength of the defense over at third. Sometimes you wish that there were plays that Rengifo could have made over at third base that you'd rather see Yoan Moncada. I mentioned it yesterday. I know Moncada had one really bad game. I think it was against the Guardians over at third base. But other than that, the guy had been really solid and had been whipping it over to first base. It has a laser of an arm. Yep. And so I'm sad that he hasn't been here. I hope that he comes back soon. But again, these injuries are not small, but they've definitely had the ripple effects on this team, and you can see how it's affected them over the last 2 weeks.
Johnny, let's talk about the ugly. And we're not talking about anybody's mama. We're just talking about the Angels, right? And so let's talk about the ugly. And these are the ones this isn't just like, well, it's not. It is a big deal, but it's fixable. We're moving into the category of like, this is a problem. Yeah. This isn't an issue, and we can't just like brush it off. And the first thing is the obvious thing, and that's the strikeouts. Mm-hmm. The Angels' K rate is the second most in Major League Baseball, just ahead of the Colorado Rockies, and they just got their 5th win on Wednesday, by the way, and they have a K rate of 26.6%. So this is not good. The swinging and missing is not good, and has everything to do with what we've talked about on this show and what everydayers are noticing. Every guy has the same approach on every pitch and every pitcher. It's Jorge Soler, or Taylor Ward, right? Like, it's the same approach. No adjustments, no changing approach, or no 2-strike approach. Johnny Washington's been preaching this like stay the course kind of idea, but when the Titanic is sinking, like stop playing the violin and find a boat to get on, right? And they're not just trying to make contact, but they're not even helping I would say hurting the pitcher and how the pitcher is approaching them as well. Like, there's no adjustment from the pitcher on the mound, and they're not making it uncomfortable for them. And Bryce Miller was an example of that as he was throwing against the Angels. Like, he was wild, but they just didn't really change their approach. They were still trying to mash the ball, and they were still trying to crush things. We did see a bit of an adjustment as the game went on, which I appreciated, because they only struck out 4 times on Wednesday. 2 of those were Kyron Paris. But, John, we really need to see things continue to change, and we need to see their approach continue to be adjusted.
Yeah, like, the last 2 days against Seattle, Ohapi taking the pitch the other way, right? He's not trying to force the pitch into his approach and make it work. He's not trying to cram a square peg through a round hole. He's going with the pitch, and he hit that opposite field home run, and then he had an opposite field hit the other day. And so that's a good example of what needs to change. Mike, this one's obvious. The no scouting reports. I waxed poetic on the show about this yesterday, but
it was good.
It clearly, it's so clear that the Angels struggled since pulling back on the scouting reports, and that's on the opposing pitcher. And the before and after effect of that speaks volumes. Volumes, Michael. And kind of in the same note, I know that this is the scouting report thing was, well, I don't want to give them too much information. I don't want to overload them. Listen to this. Angels management, this is ugly. Angels management putting their team at a clear disadvantage, making them take a red eye to Minnesota so they could score a few more ticket sales against the Pirates in a night game. Now, for some reason, people conflate this with the idea of, well, these cushy players, they get luxury planes and hotels. That's not the point. We know that baseball players travel well. Here's the point. Angels management actively and intentionally put their team at a disadvantage by scheduling things out that way. Sometimes you can put the opposing team at a disadvantage when you schedule things like that, and that sucks for the opposing team, but nobody in the history of ever has put their own team at a disadvantage except for the Angels. In fact, I found this great tweet from Not Kendrys Morales on Twitter, and he shared a screenshot of a post from Foul Territory. Our friends were talking about how this sucked for the Angels, and AJ Brzezinski and Eric Kratz were talking about how much it sucked. And you know who liked that Foul Territory post? Just Trout.
Yeah.
Mike's wife. She liked it. So not only did they put their own players at a disadvantage, it pissed off the players too. And if it's not, and I don't know how it couldn't be, but if it's not abundantly clear where Angels management priorities lie, then it should be now. It's profits over players. And it always has been, hasn't it?
Yeah, it absolutely has been. And that's been frustrating with this team and how it's been managed over the last 10 years. One of the ugly for the first part of the season, John, has been Ron Washington's decisions.
Yeah.
And you and I have really kind of been on Ron Washington. We've liked that move, but his decision making, especially at the end of last year and the beginning of this year, has been kind of ridiculous, especially when it comes to like lineups and bullpen management. The lineup construction at the start of the year, super baffling. Having Tim Anderson hitting 5th on opening day was silly, right? And then Travis d'Arnaud batting in the middle of the order. I know last night he was batting 6th. Like, dude, I see that. You see that. Everybody see that. It's just not a wise choice. Like maybe 8, maybe 9 in the order, right? And then in the bullpen management, without his A bullpen, Ron just seems completely lost.
Yeah.
And we felt like this was a problem last year because he would almost throw in the towel or raise the white flag way before. And you mentioned Jose Fermin. The Angels were down 3-1.
Yeah.
Fermin comes in. Mariners get 2 runs. It's 5-1. What do they do in the next inning, John? They got 2 other runs, right?
Yeah.
And so
could have
the
been
game
tied.
would have been tied. But it just felt like, why are you bringing him in Fermin? Like, it's not the time to do
in
that.
His second major league appearance ever
against a really good Mariners team. Like it just didn't make sense to me.
And Jorge Polanco is off to this amazing start, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And so those decisions have been just so frustrating. And I get frustrated with Ron because it feels like his response to that is like, what do you mean? I don't understand why you think it's bad. Like, like you don't see that. Okay. Yeah. That's the problem. Right.
Yeah, exactly. Finally, Mike, and I'll let you talk about this one. Fan reaction. What do you mean by that? This is an ugly part of the season so far.
Yeah, listen, they started off great and people were stoked about that, right? And then there were those fans that were like, oh man, I can't wait till you guys shut up. I can't wait till you guys be quiet. I can't wait till you guys. I thought you said that they were great. I thought you said that. Well, the first 12 games to first 15 games, they were pretty great.
Yeah.
And what I thought was pretty ugly was the way that fans now reacted to those fans who were excited about this team, because fans now are saying, I told you they'll let you down. See, I knew this was going to happen. And it's really interesting to me, like when we were enjoying when the team was good, and it feels like it's already been a long season, that there are fans that are like, you can't enjoy this. Stop enjoying this.
Yeah.
Why can't we enjoy when the Angels are actually good, right? Like, I want to enjoy that. I want to enjoy a win. It doesn't mean that
they're just going to let you down. They're going to typical Angels, classic Angels.
and people are like, well, I thought this team was different. It is a different team. They just
it was different 2 weeks ago. Yeah,
absolutely. They got into really bad habits, and maybe they can get out of it. We're not sure, but I think that what we're seeing right now is just some unhealthy approaches at the plate and some really dumb decisions. But I just want to be clear, and I've said this on the show before, the Angels sucking is not the fans' fault. And so going after other fans who are like, man, this team, I really have some hope for them, and then you calling them delusional, it just seems silly to me. It's not the fans' fault, right? Yeah. And then having the same talking points like, well, nothing changes until already. Yeah, man, get it.
Right.
Totally get it, right? But the truth is that as baseball fans, we're watching this team for 162 games, and we know that the owner's not going anywhere. And so we're looking at the nuance of the game and going, well, maybe if they improved here and they improved there, because I would love for this team to win despite Artie Moreno, right?
Yeah.
Because he's not going anywhere. So I would love for them to win. I don't think it affirms him at all. I think it affirms that this team is really good and that Perry Manassian did the best that he can in the sandbox that he's playing in to put a really competitive team out on the field.
Yeah, and when you think about it, again, the first 2 weeks of the season, it was a different team. It was a special team. And it's not the fans' fault that Johnny Washington is forcing this one-dimensional approach at the plate that we've discussed over the last 2 weeks. It's not the fans' fault that Ron Washington can't make good decisions at time. It's not the fans' fault that, that Angels management is sending these guys on a trip and putting them at a disadvantage. And so all of those factors factor into, of course the players have to play and they have to get right out there. But at the end of the day, I keep saying it, when you're trying to force something like a square peg into a round hole, it's not going to work. And so for the Halos to get back to what they were doing the first 2 weeks, making adjustments, sacrifice flies, productive outs, moving runners over, that's the team that this team can be. And so they haven't done that the last 2 weeks, last 3 weeks.
Right.
And if they get back to that, they could still be a very special team.
Thanks for making Locked On Angels your first listen of the day. Now for your second listen, check out the all-new Locked On MLB Game Night. You can find every game, every night, all season long. You get local analysis on a national scale, and you're going to find Game Night on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts.
Hey, be sure you give us a follow on Twitter at Locked On Angels. Connect with Mike and I at Super Halo Bros on Twitter and Instagram. Whether you're watching or listening, come on over to today's show. Get in the comment section. We'd love to hear from you. Mike, when we come back on Monday, what do we have in store?
We're going to recap all 4 of the games against the Tigers in Anaheim. If you're looking for instant reaction, you can always jump over to our YouTube channel and watch Gavin Carlson. He's going to give you the postcast, the best postcast in all of Angels baseball, and he's going to give that to you. And so if you want immediate reaction, find it there, or on social media, you can follow us. But we're going to recap all of the games, detailed and descriptive, on Monday on Locked On Angels.
All right, looking forward to that. We hope you'll come back and join us. Until then, my name is John, and that's my brother Mike.
And my name is Mike, and that's my brother John.
Thanks for being here, everybody, and we'll see you back here on Monday. Nothing?